So Arc Raiders is finally here. Some people are calling it the worst game ever made, and others are calling it the absolute best gaming has to offer. This game is probably one of the most divisive titles I've seen in a really long time. There's a lot of people that are saying that it is garbage, that the PvP is not fun, or the PvE is not fun, and there's other people that are literally saying this is the game that they're gonna play for the next like 5 years. So somebody's definitely lying here. You can't go from this game is the best game ever made to this game's the worst game ever made. Gamers have plenty of differing opinions, but the GOATs, they're typically just generally agreed upon. Some people don't like them, of course, but for the game to be like divided 50-50, it seems like, I feel like one side has to be more biased than the other. The sound design in this game is by far the best sound design I've ever seen in a video game ever. The fact that you can tell where gunshots are coming from anywhere on the map, pretty much. You can hear explosions, you can hear footsteps so realistically. You can tell how far away they are just from, and exactly where they're at, like location-wise, so clearly. And this adds a level of immersion that I haven't seen from like a sound perspective in any other game. And the sound design shapes the way you behave in the game, because if you hear an explosion, you can tell how far or how close it is. And if you're not very geared, you probably don't want to go around that explosion. So you're gonna, route yourself differently based off the sound. And that just adds a whole other level of immersion that I love. I think it is the best thing about the game. Like, just genuinely so good. The quest was something I was very hesitant at first. I actually ignored them my first like 10 hours playing because I thought it was kind of stupid. It's like my goal is to go get loot, and I don't want to be wasting my time going and doing these quests. Of course, they give me rewards for completing them, but it just feels really weird to do that in this PvP game. But around the 15-hour mark, I had this perspective shift that I realized that the game is not a PvP game. I want to get into that later as well, but it's not a PvP game at all. And the quests are there to kind of show you that. I think that's the point of them even being there, is like, hey, this is not a PvP game. This is a game that has PvP in it, but that's not your goal. The quest gets you to go out of your comfort zone or where you wouldn't typically go. I like to go to the high loot areas, and a lot of the quests are centered around like more the outskirts and more areas that are less focused around people. But since a lot of people are also trying to do the quest, those then become more populated than they would be because a lot of these people are trying to complete the quest. I've actually had some of the best player interactions as well while working on the quest, because you run into other players that are looking for the quest, and those type of players aren't typically the bloodthirsty PvP players. They're more down to have a conversation. So I've had a couple of conversations, and it is definitely more immersive that way, because it makes it feel less like a battle royale and more like a world that people are living in, and there's people that are trying to do different things. You have the looters, you have the killers, you got the people that are just trying to get stuff done to help out, the cause. I think they did a good job of some of the overarching progression of the game as well. You have the leveling system that no matter if you live or die or what, you get XP for everything you do. So that means even if you die and lose a bunch of stuff, well, hey, I at least leveled up and now I get to put a point into this ability that lets me do something else. It's nice. You get to level up, and that's completely like disconnected from the actual game. It helps with every facet of the game, like getting the stamina level up. It changes the game. Like I had to do that instantly because good God, did moving feel like ass when you're level 1. But you get this whole like other section, and then there's the trials, which is like a ranked system, which I think is a really cool way of doing it. It's like a ranked leaderboards. There's no ranked matchmaking or anything like that. It just is how well you performed, and what you do gives you points on the overall leaderboards, and you get rewards. There's actually, I looked at it, some of the high ranked rewards are a lot of cool cosmetics, and that's something that's going to keep me playing because I'm a PvPer. Like, I love PvP games, and that's what makes me enjoy these type of games. So being able to like be incentivized to go out and do things, even if I'm fully geared, I have the leaderboards to look forward to. So you've got the leveling systems, you've got the leaderboards, and you've also have expeditions, which I don't really know a lot about yet. Like I said, I've gone completely blind in this game. I've not looked up anything. So I think it's like a prestige system from what I understand from reading it, but I'm still not finished with that yet. But the fact that there's all of these other layers that are tied not by your loot makes it so much cooler, in my opinion. That's why I can never really get into Tarkov, is because it just felt like a never-ending loop. Like, I kill somebody to get their loot, to go out with their loot, to then kill somebody else and take their loot. And it's like, well, what's the point, And I think all of these extra things definitely help out, but it doesn't really fix the core issue. The game is still an extraction shooter through and through, and I think that's going to have a huge problem with some longevity of the player base. I think a lot of these people that are saying it's the best game ever are going to realize that, hey, this game is probably not. And I have a lot that I love about this game. I plan on playing a ton of it. but I think that the game has some major flaws that it will need to address. Real quick, I don't want to waste your time. I appreciate you making it this far in the video, but as you can see, I'm a very small creator. I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers. I'm at like 630 right now at the time recording this video, so I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like, make sure to subscribe, and leave a comment because that helps the algorithm a ton, and I want to keep making videos like this. It's so much fun, guys. Now, the first major flaw that I have is not one I see them fixing ever because it's kind of the main core identity of the game, and that's the fact that it is a third-person game. I don't dislike third-person games. Keep that in mind. I prefer first-person shooters for sure, but third-person games are very fun. I play them all the time. The problem is I don't think they really fit the extraction shooter genre very well, and there's a few reasons as to why. The main problem is that your loot actually matters a lot in this game. People do not want to lose their loot. And the fact that there's a third person means that you can abuse some of the mechanics that come with that. For example, if you're getting shot at and you're hiding behind a wall, it makes it impossible for the other person to push you without just you knowing, because you may be hiding behind a rock. Your character may be looking at the ground or staring his eyes into the gravel, the rock dust, you know, but he can see everything around him. You can see all of it. So if I'm trying to push somebody, like, you got to go behind them, but they could even be looking, their character could still be looking in that gravel, but your camera could be turned the other way around and still be seen behind. And it's just, it makes the game a lot harder to be able to play aggressively because the people that decide to play super passive have a huge advantage because you have this massive camera that can see everything. And I think that works for certain games. I mean, even Fortnite, which is a game that has some competitiveness to it, it doesn't really incentivize rat behavior because you want to get as many kills as possible, because if you lose, oh well, you know, you go to the next game. But in this game, if you die, you could lose hours of progress depending on what guns and what gear you take out. Now, this game was obviously never intended to be an extraction shooter, and I think the camera is the most obvious case of that being reality, and I know that it's not really going to change. It's not very feasible to turn it into a first-person shooter, and it's basically the core identity of the game now. So that is a complaint I have, but it's something that I've come to live with because it is just the game, and I have to adjust my playstyle around that. And I understand some people really love the fact that it's third person. A lot of those players probably are rats, but yeah, no, it isn't the worst thing ever. I've come to accept it, and was the first barrier for me to cross. Now, another flaw that I have with the game is honestly the gunplay. The gunplay feels kind of like floaty. It feels like I'm not very, like, the sound and the visuals and everything is so immersive, but then the guns kind of feel just disconnected from everything. Now, there's certain guns that feel awesome, like the Pharaoh. Like, the Pharaoh feels great. Like, I know if I point at somebody and I click it at them, like, they're dead. Like, they're getting hit. It feels great. But there's other guns, like, especially the Rattler, like, it just doesn't feel right. It just feels wrong. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but just some of the gunplay feels very wonky. And then a lot of the gunfights, with the way the reloads work and the fact that it is a third-person game and just the way that, like, the little dances happen, it just feels, it takes away some of the immersion that I had that they built up with the sound design and the visuals. That immersiveness gets kind of taken away from the gunplay. I think the biggest issue and what's caused all this division is the fact that it is not a PvP game. This game was originally supposed to be like a single-player PvE game that they then turned into an extraction shooter. And a lot of people just assume that that makes this a PvP PvE game, but it's a PvE PvP game, and that's a big difference that people need to grasp. I've played with so many people that just want to go into fights and then they end up feeling overwhelmed because you're at a huge disadvantage when you push fights. Due to the camera, due to the sound design, due to a lot of the way the game is made, you are not incentivized to play aggressive, and that can lead to you losing your gear, and that puts you back at square one. And that's where the people that are doing better in the game are the people that are just going for loot and extracting out and, you know, dealing with the arcs. Even the leaderboards incentivizes you killing the PvE. You're guaranteed better loot for killing the arcs because you get upgrade materials and things to build different weapons. The game is designed around PvE. And as a PvP player myself, and who came into this game thinking that it was going to be a PvP game, I was thinking it was going to be very similar to Rust. Like, I never really played a lot of Tarkov, but I thought it was going to be a lot like Rust, like where you just kind of go and kill a lot of players. But that's not how the game is designed. I think the best way to fix this is to add a PvP mode. Like, imagine if you could take the kits that you earned, and instead of going into the extraction shooter, imagine if they, of course, knowing them, they would want to make a lore based around it and like make the game mode make sense. But imagine if you could go into like a mini battle royale, like where there's 25 players, you know, you go in, and maybe make it where you could have a border, or you could make it just where you have to get to this certain zone and be the last person to hold the zone. And it's just like an all-out PvP fight, and you can loot the people that take out their kits. So it incentivizes people to take out the best kits they have, because that increases your chances of winning that fight, because you're not able to extract. It's like the last man standing kind of thing. So you got to bring your best kits. You're going to be able to take other people's good kits, and it allows for all that aggressiveness that other players wish that they could do inside the regular game. You could even have the arcs introduced into it in some kind of way. It doesn't have to be exclusively PvP, but adding a different mode like that really helps those PvP players out, I think would help with the longevity of the game. The game is really good. It's not the best game ever made. I think the people that are saying that are coping really, really hard. There's a lot of flaws, but in the current gaming landscape, I definitely think it's worth your money. It's one of the better games out there right now, and it's only $40. That all being said, thank you guys so much for making it to the end of the video. Truly, like, from the bottom of my heart, that means a lot to me. I put a lot of work into these, and if you make it all the way through, that makes me really happy. So if you did enjoy, please make sure to leave a like and comment. Helps out the algorithm a ton, gets this video pushed out more. And as I said earlier in the video, I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. We're over halfway there now. So if you did enjoy the content, make sure to leave a subscription as well. I'll be making tons of videos about Arc Raiders and any new game that comes out that I'm at least interested in at all. And thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.